Hello and welcome. I'm Edward Wilford, and I'm the Senior Research Director at Wars Intelligence, a part of Informa Tech Target. It is an honor to have you with us for today's Fast Chat. I'd like to introduce you to Alexander Mandeville, who's the Director of Strategic Partnerships at Route One. Alex, thank you for being here today. Could you start by telling us a little bit about your role with Route One?
Absolutely. So I'm the Director of Strategic Partnerships. I help connect dealers and lenders with third-party providers within the industry.
Excellent. So for the past few months, at least, there's been a lot of interest and maybe even more speculation about topics like interest rates, tariffs, supply chain, all of which has affected new and used car prices over the last year. What are some of the trends that you've observed within auto finance this year?
Sure. So it seems like the topic of omnichannel has shifted, and the focus has been on in-store and showroom experiences. So what that really means is that dealers and their vendors are focused on removing obstacles to the sale within the showroom. And that friction of any kind is under scrutiny. What that means for us is that integration is no longer a nice to have. It's an expectation at this point. And so that means data integration, but it also means even the exchange of documents. So we've seen some new applications and exciting applications where dealers and their vendors can exchange documents between systems to create unique signing experiences too.
So many brands are experimenting or are like committing to a fully or mostly digital experience for consumers. How is digital retailing evolving to meet customer expectations?
Yeah, so it seems like digital retailers are working on in-store and showroom experiences, and your traditional showroom apps are working on their digital retail presence. Regardless of the medium, the fundamentals stay the same. What I mean by that is flexibility and transparency in the transaction are still paramount, regardless of if the transaction happens in the showroom or online. And what we've seen is that dealers and their vendors are bringing F&I forward in the transaction. So considering finance and your aftermarket vehicle protection products, dealers and their vendors are bringing those experiences forward so the customer can consider those options as part of their journey rather than being surprised by them at the end.
So we know a bit about what customers expect and the way the experience has evolved. But what are the complexities of delivering a customer experience that meets those expectations?
Yeah, customer expectations rather have shifted. And there are more than a handful of dealers now that have shown that they can engage with the customer how they want to be engaged with, whether that's remote or in the showroom or online, and still deliver a 1-hour car deal. And the problem for some dealers is that they're competing with those expectations, whether they're tracking to those benchmarks or not. Also, there are still some dealers that have not harmonized their showroom and in-store experiences with their online experiences. And so what that can lead to is sometimes there are deal terms that a customer might see online that they might not be able to expect in the showroom. And so APR, for example, if there's a dealer that hasn't updated the interest rates that they're offering online, they will have to readjust that customer's expectations when they get to the delivery, which can result in frustration for the customer, but it can also result in frustration for the dealer as well. And it's just not necessary.
Of course. So where are dealers investing most in their customer journey?
Dealers are investing in what we refer to as deal automation. What that doesn't mean is that the deal happens without the involvement of the dealer, but rather the dealer expects their tech stack to work with them and help them deliver the vehicle. A good example of that is what we call auto e-contracting. So auto e-contracting is the ability for a third-party system like a DMS to incorporate Route One's e-contracting workflow and platform within their own tech stack. And so it creates this robust experience for the dealer to be able to offer to the customer while still getting all the benefits of true Route One e-contracting. Those benefits are like faster funding and also a reduction in the number of errors that are possible versus a traditional paper deal.
Okay, so looking ahead, it's the end of 24, going into 25, crystal ball time. Are there any challenges coming down the road that dealers should be aware of?
Yeah, besides affordability and shifting customer expectations, something dealers need to be aware of is an increase in fraud. Fraud is on the rise, and also the complexity related to fraud is on the rise. And so dealers need to have tools and processes in place to identify and combat fraud. Luckily, there are new providers and new entrants to that space, as well as existing providers that have new tools that dealers can consider. Our role is simply to embed those tools into the existing deal workflow so that dealers don't need to have an exception loop to help them combat fraud. It's part of the happy path of a deal.
Excellent. Well, I think that's all we have time for today, but my thanks again to Alex Mandeville from Route One for joining me today. Thank you at home for watching, and have a great rest of the day wherever you are. Thank you.
Thanks.